Hello parents, this is Privitera-Johnson. You can call me Kristen or you can call me Miss PJ, that's what your children call me. I wanted to give you an update since I'll be publishing the first letter grades for this quarter for your students, especially for parents that I haven't gotten a chance to meet yet. So, little update about how they're doing with this physics modeling method. They're doing great, by the way. It's really awesome to see how your child's mind works when I put a whiteboard in front of them, hand them an expo marker, show them a graph, and ask them to think about what that mathematical stuff, that data means in terms of a real-life action. For example, we've been working a lot with buggies and just them moving in straight lines at constant velocity. And I think they're doing great, especially since we're already at the end of the 5th week and they've grown so much since the first day that I started this modeling curriculum with them. How have your students been assessed so far? So these are the things that you want to see in Power School, right? So I provided 2 examples for you. One being a worst case scenario of what's going on with your child, and one being the best case scenario of what's going on with your child. And I also picked these because it shows you a couple of the different icons you might see on Power School. So let's start with worst case scenario. All of students in block 3 and 4 have had, you will see 15 assignments in the gradebook. The check marks, let's start there. Those ones will appear first. Those are the actual assignments that they turned in. If there's a green check mark next to it, that means I received it and was able to grade it from your student. If there is an orange missing symbol, that means it wasn't turned in, and usually I will put a comment to express the knowledge that I know about why it hasn't been turned in. Maybe they're absent or they're sick, or I provide a comment to give you as much information as possible. If there is no check mark, like in this student's from block 3, they haven't taken appraisal 2 yet. They'll take that on Monday. This student from block 4 was present today, Friday, September 26th. They took the appraisal. I put a check mark to let you know they've taken care of it. Let's move on to the fun stuff down here with some of these scary letters. Alright, so in the parent version of Power School, this is the teacher version we're currently looking at, you will see 3 columns. You will see a letter grade. In the middle, you will see how many points out of 2 they received. So you'll either see 0 out of 2, 1 out of 2, or 2 out of 2. And then it calculates that percentage for you. So, for example, for this student, they currently have a 50%. In their Power School, you would see 1 out of 2. That means on this standard, motion maps, that student received a 1 on appraisal 1. Same thing with this standard. They were only tested on standards 1 and 4 on appraisal 1, and this student received a 1 on both of those standards. So, let's look at the other student. If the student received a 2, a mastery, which reflects mastering that standard, that it will show a 2 out of 2 in the middle column, and of course, that's 100% points-wise. So that's how Power School will show it to you. Now, in terms of the overall letter grade that shows up when you look at the physics class on Power School, I manually input that. In a little bit, I will quickly let you know how I calculated that grade. So I just wanted to let you know that if a student doesn't have a 2, it's going to be one of these scary letters that we don't like, F or D. That doesn't mean your student is incapable. That doesn't mean your student's not necessarily completely lost in physics. I just wanted to show you what to expect. Now, what's coming up in the next couple of weeks so that those 1s or maybe even 0s can be replaced and become 2s? Quarter ends on October 17th, so that's what I'm going to show you. We're going to have appraisals 3, 4, and 5 coming up before the end of quarter 1, so those will replace those purple CVPM standards. There's also going to be a midterm, the second class meeting of the week starting with October 6th. I've selected this week for the midterm, which will only be about 5 questions. Because that gives me another couple of meetings for students to come in and reappraise on some standards that maybe they are weakest on, so that their quarter one grade can really reflect the things they have actually learned in physics this quarter. There's also going to be a second lab report about dueling buggies. So what you'll notice is in Power School, for most students in my classes, there's a lot of zeros and ones for the first lab report. This is because it was their first time with this format. This is because it's the first time working with their handout that tells them what's expected in the lab report. I left them tons of comments on their first lab report. So when they write up that second lab report that's going to be in the gradebook before the end of quarter one, I expect those zeros and ones you see to be almost all twos because I've left them tons of comments. They now know that that handout I gave them with how to write the lab report is a handy tool to use, and they can always ask me questions while they're writing the lab report. Basically, they have better expectations of the quality of work I'm looking for. There's always opportunities for reappraisal. Your student should approach me and let me know if they want to take another attempt, be reassessed on any particular standard that they don't have a 2 in. Alright, should I be worried about my child's grade? This is what I'm going to do for you. I will send you an email today, Friday, September 26th, if I feel like your student is falling behind or is in danger of receiving a grade that isn't top-notch. I will send you an email. If you do not receive an email from me, that means I think your student is on the right track, and by quarter one, I don't predict any disasters. Now, does that mean you can't email me? Of course not. Here's my contact information. Email me at my SHC email, send me a Schoology message, whatever platform is easiest for you and more convenient for you to navigate. Even if I don't contact you and you still want to ask me, just do it. I will answer your email. I am not worried about it at all. So this is from the syllabus. The letter grade that I will manually input into Power School will be as follows. If there's an A, that means your student has received 90%, at least 90% twos, and so forth. The most important ones that you will see is if there's any other combos of zeros, ones, and twos, which is most students right now because we have only 3 items that have been graded so far, will be a D. By the end of quarter one, that will not be true. And no student should have an F unless they have not turned in something. 50% zero is an intentional achievement. As of today, we have 11 standards graded. So the letter grade that I'm determining, I counted the number of twos they have, and I divided it by 11, multiplied that decimal by 100, that gives me a percent. Rewind this video if I went too fast. I just want to get your questions answered. So, thank you. I won't inundate you with videos every week, but just because this is the first time I'm putting a letter grade into Power School, I just wanted to reach out to you, provide more information, and informally meet some parents that I didn't get a chance to meet during back to school night. So have a nice weekend. Grades will be updated every Friday, and I look forward to continuing my relationship with your child and teaching them physics.